Hello, this is Susan Heaton-Wright. I thought that I would do a solo podcast here today because I do a lot of interviewing of other people. However, I am an expert in communication and impact and influencing other people when we communicate, and that includes listening. And I wanted to introduce myself again. I have been podcasting for 12 years, which is quite a long time. I was ahead of the crowd with podcasts, and to share with you some idea about what's going on in the world at the moment, which is that we're in a geopolitical nightmare at the moment, if worst possible scenario. And we can listen to the news, we can watch the news, we get alerts on our phones, and it can make us very, very anxious. And as leaders and managers, we need to manage other people the best we can with what we know, because there's a high level of uncertainty now. And that applies to our organizations, not just the price of oil going up and potentially people losing their jobs, worst possible scenario, but also AI. Because I talk to lots of people who are worried that they might lose their jobs because of AI. And the reality is that we don't know. And often, as our roles as leaders, we have to reassure people and manage the expectation. And this comes down to communication. Because whether we like it or not, as leaders, we set the emotional tone. You can either amplify that anxiety or you can help create calm, clarity, and focus. So let's start with something that I see all the time, and it's something that I call anxiety transfer effect. Certainly, uncertainty doesn't just exist, it spreads. It spreads very quickly when people don't know what's going on. And it spreads through what we say, how we say it, and what we do. And examples are, have you heard about, I don't really know what's going on, but, and we can create anxiety around that. We could reframe instead of saying, here's what we know right now, and we can focus on this. For example, if people are worried about AI, we could be focusing on, right, why don't we train ourselves up to use AI so we can be more efficient? And we have the combination of using AI and being human beings with our own skill set. So let's create some clarity and focus around this. In uncertainty, one of the biggest challenges is overwhelm. Too much information like we're getting at the moment. Daily there are changes in the world, aren't there? And news alerts on our phones. Too many priorities, too much noise. As leaders and managers, our role is to simplify this. And those people who have heard me speak know that I love the rule of three. At any given time, your team, your clients, your organization should know what are the three main priorities now. You might have 20 things going on, but your team needs three. Our brains need three things. So, for example, right now, our focus is on supporting our clients, maintaining quality, looking after each other. It's clear, it's memorable, and it's reassuring. So clarity does reduce anxiety. Now, many leaders unintentionally lose people. They think, I've already said that. But your team needs to hear it time and time again. So you could introduce what I call the leadership echo. Your key messages should be repeated consistently in meetings, in emails, updates, and conversations if you're in the office bumping into people, because this repetition builds trust. A simple structure could be when you keep it simple, when you communicate, keep it simple. Here we are now. This is what matters most and what happens next. You see, it's back to that 3 points, isn't it? No complexity is needed. And as you know, I love performance. This is the part that people often overlook. It's not just how you say it, but how you say it and how you show up. You can say all of the right words in the right order, but if your tone is rushed, uncertain, or tense, that's what people are going to pick up on. And also, if you turn up with your head down, looking stressed, whatever you say, people are going to pick up on that. In music, the audience just doesn't hear the notes, they feel the energy. And it's exactly the same in leadership. So remember to slow your pace, lower your tone so that you're relaxed, and pause more. That alone will change the way that people experience you and the information you are sharing. And I'd like to leave you with one question before we finish, and that is, what message does your team need to hear from you right now? And more importantly, is it creating clarity or confusion, calmness or anxiety? Remember, in uncertain times, you don't need to have all of the answers, but you do need to communicate with clarity, consistency, and calmness. Be seen, be heard, and most importantly, create the impact your team needs from you right now. And remember that my business, Superstar Communicator, offers masterclasses, coaching for individuals, and workshops on this sort of work. Do contact us if you want more information. Thank you very much for listening.